but somehow he still dodges every hit aimed at his weak points. Then she remembers something she read about barbarians. Their real strength isn't just their big muscles, but their clever minds. Facing this incredibly tough enemy, she finally gets it. Suddenly, Tarjan tells his lady they should run while the dumb guy takes all the hits. But she replies there's nowhere to go. The only way to survive this is to defeat its guardian right here. Feeling totally lost, Raven wonders what she's even doing here. She's watching a young barbarian who just grew up, beat her in raw skill, power, and even smart leadership, which is supposed to be her specialty. A mage, she refuses to sit there useless like Aqua and just watch. So she tells her helper to guard the Hickarod so Anar can go and help Bjorn instead. She thinks a mage isn't just a fancy cannon sitting in the back, but a smart leader who deeply understands the situation and changes the fight with clever plans. That's why she takes action and pulls out her most special item. She uses every aiming trick she has since she can't throw well, and launches the test to Bjorn. He looks totally confused when it smashes into his strong arm. Suddenly, the corpse golem essence shoots out and connects with him, making him much tougher right away. With the golem's power flowing through him, Bjorn stands tall, not bothered by the vampire duke's non-stop attacks. Thinking back a few moments, Bjorn feels his mind turning into a jumbled mess. Still, he won't give up. He strains his mind trying to figure out which body parts he can sacrifice just to stay alive. Right then, his vision flickers badly as an essence gets forced into his body. Back in the present, our boy immediately feels stronger. The Duke's claws hardly scratch him now. His bones have become like steel thanks to his new tough power. He realizes Raven just used the corpse golem essence on him, which totally messes up the super strong plan he had. But the good thing is, his chances of survival are much higher. A second ago, he was just a fragile body trying to be a shield. But now he can actually strike back. He dodges several attacks. But even with this new power, he knows his body is about to give out from the crazy damage of the Guardian. Just then, a potion bottle hits his back. He's shocked to see that the thin sorceress just used a strong healing potion on the guy who will save her, meaning she's all in and ready to fight. Our boy feels confident again thanks to the strong healing, then charges into the ugly hissing vampire right away. He activates what he calls his berserker mode. The vampire keeps cutting him up, but because his blood is acidic, it will keep hurting the Duke over time. The vampire rages at his clever strategy, and Raven makes him even angrier by throwing another potion at Bjorn, healing his wounds right away like it's nothing. Furious like the barbarian stole his wife, Duke Camber unleashes a powerful hit to push him back before he can attacking. Anar steps in and forces the vampire to retreat. Just as the Duke's about to speak, our boy comes in with a sneaky punch that almost hits. Camber fights back by stabbing him straight through the chest, making Bjorn spit blood while charging. As he and Anar make a final attempt to keep the Guardian busy, Bjorn wonders if Raven's spell will take forever to charge. With both vampire claws in his body, our hero hears Raven yell that the spell is ready. He gets a spark of hope and realizes it's now or never. So he grabs the Duke and uses all his power to throw the guy into Hickarod. Ready for revenge, the dwarf hits the Duke with lightning, putting him into a coma. Our hero charges toward the boss, holding a vial while thinking it's finally time to use the special item he saved for just the right moment. The goddess tears. Without asking, he shoves the thick glass tube down the vampire's throat. Then he follows up with a powerful uppercut to the chin, breaking it inside the Duke's mouth. That immediately activates the item's power, which briefly stops all of the proud vampire's messed up powers and defenses. The system tells him the Duke is now going from being knocked out to full shock. Right after that, Raven yells at him to move aside and gets ready to use her sun magic, which glows above her like a huge fiery ball of energy. Barely standing, totally worn out, Raven manages to say he needs to get out fast as the fiery spell crashes down toward the vampire. Bjorn still holds the monster down like it's a wrestling match. That's when he realized he made a huge mistake. Fire explodes outward and swallows them both right away. The system tells him the sunspot sphere knocked him out, even though he was already passed out. The Duke's pain-sharing power also makes the others faint from the intense pain. A few moments later, our boy finally wakes up, coughing blood, and wonders if he won. It's too quiet, so he forces himself up to check if the vampire is actually dead. But his eyes almost pop out in shock. He sees the guy barely alive, just a skeleton. Bjorn gets a message saying his immortal skill doesn't just slow down injuries, but also locks them in, keeping him alive even when they get really bad. On top of that, the Duke's special power keeps him alive unless his heart is destroyed. Watching the body heal itself right before his eyes, Bjorn realizes all their hard work will be for nothing if he lets this monster heal. Seeing everyone else knocked out, he decides the risk is worth and walks over to the Duke's body with a plan to finish him off for good. He knocks the body down and gets on top of it in a weird way. He then notices the chest is still intact, because the Duke shielded it with his arm at the last moment. That small discovery makes him so mad he punches the chest with all his might. Then he uses his flesh explosion skill from the corpse golem essence. He yells out because it really hurts, but instead of stopping, he keeps using the skill again and again, like he's crazy, even though his body is about to give up. He quickly realizes, if he keeps attacking the vampire's nasty heart, its health will run out before his. Bjorn feels death right behind him, with only 1 HP left, but he doesn't even care. When the game warns him he has only 46 mentality points left before it's all over. His mentality falls to just 16, and he just stares where his arms used to be. Like anyone else in this crazy situation, he falls onto the vampire's body and keeps using flesh explosion. Like he's out for revenge. He watches his mentality drop with each hit until it's at its lowest, just 10 points. But then, just when things are looking really bad, the system gives him a huge amount of experience points out of nowhere, letting him level up. Sadly, Dungeons and Stones isn't one of those games where health magically comes back just because he leveled up. So he's still barely alive. But all this time, our guy has been quietly hoping for good luck, wanting the new essence slot he opened to get the vampire's essence, which only drops 1 out of 3 times. And lucky for him, the story gives him a break. Thanks to his new vampire essence skill, his health goes back up to 1% because his heart wasn't hit. On top of that, his crazy all-or-nothing mission gets him an extra 10 mentality, and it even gets the administrator's attention. Bjorn wakes up in a panic, only to realize he's currently using Anar's thighs as a comfy pillow. She looks down and casually asks if he's awake now, but he immediately asks about the others. She tells him they left about 3 days ago. But she's more worried about him. However, Bjorn is more worried that he slept for 3 whole days. Suddenly, he sits up, trying to understand how he could have been unconscious for so long. And then he realizes today is the 7th day. As he moves around, he sees his body is mostly fine with no clear wounds. But then his eyes go wide and he freezes. He awkwardly asks Anar what happened to his pants since he's completely exposed. Anar doesn't react and calmly says clothes were ripped so she finished tearing them. Bjorn is clearly upset, but she tells him not to worry, since she already saw how great a fighter he is. Still, he just wants to disappear into a hole. He changes the topic and asks what happened after he passed out. She explains that the dwarf took the numbered item, and the mage grabbed the rupture stones. Bjorn connects the dots and realizes he's only alive because he absorbed the essence. It makes sense that the Guardian must have dropped all 3 items. That makes him think, but Anna reminds him about the dice game for the stones. Apparently, the mage refused to play fair, saying she could only get back what she lost by taking the stones. The dwarf just shrugged and said he didn't mind. Then the mage said something strange. Bjorn already got the best loot he could, so arguing was pointless. He immediately understands that she must have known about the vampire's essence from the start, and she also gave him the corpse golem's essence earlier. She basically kept letting things go just to help him win, which makes him feel a little better. Anar, on the other hand, keeps complaining that the greedy mage took everything else without even waiting for Bjorn to wake up. Seeing no easy way out, Bjorn smartly takes her side and calls her the dependable one, which she absolutely loves. Getting back on track, she asks if they should leave now too. Bjorn stops her and says there's still something left to do here. He figures that even if the mage took everything else, 1 item should still be in the room, and he's definitely taking it. First, he asks Anar if she has anything he can wear. After a quick search for clothes, they finally head back to the Crystal Cave. The labyrinth shuts down, and the system sends them back to the city. Bjorn looks around, hoping all that pain means a huge payday. Unfortunately, the guild lady quickly crushes that dream and tells him he only made around 230,000 stones. He's really disappointed, though. He tries to cheer himself up by remembering he also got 2 essences. When he reaches out to collect the payment, she pulls the pouch back, squints, and says, it's suspicious he made so much. She then demands to know what's in his backpack. Bjorn is confused because no one in the game ever asked that. But before he can answer, a group of knights suddenly shows up and points their weapons at him. He suddenly realizes he's in deep trouble. They order him to move and take him straight to the interrogation room. Meanwhile, Irvin also makes it back to the city safely. She wipes the sweat from her brow and mutters that she didn't think the 3rd floor would be so hard. She expected the 7th rank monsters to be strong, but even with her sister fighting the 6th rank ones nearby, it felt like a real adventure. She's already excited to tell Bjorn all about it. She looks around the area but doesn't spot him anywhere, which makes her a little sad. She wanted to show off her new essence, one she's sure he'd want to try right away, but she still wants to see the big lug. The guild staff counts up her stones and notes that it's a lot of loot for someone at her level. She explains that she was playing with her sister, which seems to be enough for the receptionist to let her go. Later, she heads back to her room to take a relaxing bath and throws on a fresh dress, wondering if her guy is back yet. She happily daydreams about buying him dinner with her earnings and imagines how excited he'll be to hear her stories and share his own. But then reality hits her when the hotel manager tells her that Bjorny hasn't come back yet. She starts to worry that something might have gone wrong, but she still hopes he'll come back soon. A whole week drags by and Bjorny still doesn't show. Irvin catches the hotel guy clearing out Bjorny's room and demands to know what he's doing. The guy sighs, telling her he's waited long enough. But it's time she accepted the truth. He's not coming back. She tries to argue, but he cuts her off. He just flat out tells her Bjorny is probably dead. Later, we find Erwin huddled in the pouring, rain crying like her world just ended. Her sister walks up saying she heard the news. She gently asks Erwin how long she plans to stay like this. Erwin looks up, her eyes now burning with a dark fire. She tells Theresia she's going to get stronger, no matter what, so she can protect the people she loves. Meanwhile, it's been a whole week since Bjorny was thrown in jail for supposedly plundering, and he's getting seriously annoyed. During the first interrogation, the investigator demands to know where he got the crossbow. Bjorny explains it came from the guy who literally tried to kill him. He's pretty sure defending himself isn't a crime, unless the law is totally messed up. The investigator acts all smug, saying they'll figure out who attacked first. This immediately ticks Bjorn off, making him suspect something super shady. He remembers how it used to be an unspoken rule. Explorers couldn't be questioned about loot without solid proof. But lately, the guild's been changing rules to cut down on plundering, which totally opens the door for abuse. Bjorny figures life sucks no matter what, but now he's convinced this shady system has probably locked up way more innocent people than just him. The investigator goes in again, telling him to just spill the truth. But Bjorn sticks to his story. He explains how Baldy and his crew came after him, though he conveniently leaves out the part about the woman. Still, the investigator can't believe he got a knife to the neck and lived. He demands to see the scar, which Bjorny tries to show. But then it hits him. The scar must have healed thanks to the vampire's power. Now he just looks like he's bluffing. So, he brings up the rupture, hoping that'll help. But the investigator now thinks he's just making up more wild stories. A vampire showing up at such a low level sounds like total fiction, and the guy even laughs at him. Bjorny's had enough. He shouts at him to bring in a mage who can read memories and confirm if he's telling the truth or not. The investigator makes fun of him for even suggesting that, saying only explorers ranked 7th or higher can ask for memory checks. Bjorny says he'll pay for it, but the guy just shrugs, saying they'd take his money anyway, so why waste it? Eventually he says he'll think about it if the mage works for the guild. 2 days later, a mage finally shows up, but claims Bjorny's mental barrier is too tough to break. He says they'd need some from the magic tower, and Bjorny can only curse his terrible luck. He tries again, bringing up the names of the mage and the dwarf, but the investigator just smirks and repeats the same tired line, telling him to confess already. On the 7th day, the investigator bursts into the room, looking like he just won the lottery. He slams a message device on a table and proudly announces he finally has real proof. Bjorny instantly recognizes it as the message stone from the Crystal Union fight. The investigator reveals this wasn't the first time Bjorn's been caught plundering. And the Crystal Union guys even submitted statements against him. He grins and declares that Bjorny will be executed in just 3 hours. However, the Barbarian doesn't say a single word. Back in his cell, he realizes talking won't do anything now, but escaping would just give him a criminal record forever. So he has only one option left to prove he's innocent. He grips the bars tightly and activates Flesh Explosion, blowing the cell bars apart. He just walks out, sending the guard crawling back in a panic. The man starts shouting for backup, but Bjorny shuts him up fast with one solid kick to the face that sends him straight to sleep mode. With the guard knocked out, Bjorn doesn't waste a second and grabs the keys off the ground. And as he's about to leave, the other prisoners start hollering, demanding he free them, too. Bjorny's pretty sure some of these guys are actual criminals, but he's an innocent barbarian who just got wrongly thrown in jail. So of course that doesn't bother him one bit. He frees all of them, and chaos erupts as they start chanting their new hero's name, the Barbarian of Freedom. Back at the Explorer Guild, a guard hears something weird near the entrance. But then he gets blown across the room as the prison mob crashes through the door, with murder in their eyes. The receptionist yells that any explorer who helps capture the convicts will get a fat reward. That's all the crowd needs to hear. The explorers jump into action to shut down the escape. Bjorn races up the stairs, thinking the prisoners won't get far since they're unarmed. He just needs 5 minutes. As he dashes up, he reminds himself that he's not just escaping to run away. He has a separate plan entirely. A guard waiting on top shouts that the convicts have reached the upper floor, then idiotically blurts out that the branch manager is up there too. Bjorn stares him down, points a hand behind him, and unleashes Flesh Explosion again. Blood rains down on the prisoners below, making them shriek like terrified toddlers. As the acidic spray hits, he then activates his vampire ability, boosting his stats as he feels a surge of energy, smirks saying his doping is complete, and charges the guards barehanded, who start trembling at the sight. One poor guy gets slammed into the floor like he's a new tile. Another swings a sword, but Bjorn blocks it with his arm, leaving the guards stunned as they watch the wound heal instantly. Bjorn follows up with a punch that knocks the man's teeth out clean. Bjorn gets high on a capture trip while the other guards start panicking, yelling that the Barbarian should only be 9th rank. Bjorn just smirks, saying the branch manager only locked up the low ranks, so they never expected this much power. After wrecking every last one of them, he finally stops in front of a door, arriving at the branch manager's office on the 3rd floor. Our boy pushes the door open slowly, trying to act like a civilized human being, but someone's already lurking behind cover. He catches on too late that it's an ambush as the guy leaps out and slashes him. The branch manager looks smug, thinking he got the jump on him, but his victory face quickly melts away as Bjorn's blood splashes onto him and starts burning through his skin. Then Bjorn catches movement from the corner as a girl panics and calls out to the manager. But the second her eyes land on Bjorn, her whole body starts to shake. The branch manager yells at Bjorn to back off because the girl is the daughter of the district manager. But for the Barbarian with 5 stars, she's his get-out-of-jail card. He brushes off the warning and knocks the manager out cold with a clean right uppercut. He thinks he never meant to take things this far. But her being here completely flips the situation. The girl tries to act tough, yelling that he's not getting out of this alive now, and accusing him of planning all this just to get to her. Bjorn simply clamps her mouth shut and tells her to quit it. Using her as leverage, he turns to the guards creeping up on him and demands to see the inspector, the guild leader, and a mage from the tower. If they don't bring them, he'll end the girl right then and there, which gets the guards moving. Stepping out onto the balcony, he takes a deep breath and begins shouting down to the crowd. He introduces himself as Bjorn and announces that the guild tried to frame and kill him. He shouts again that the corrupted Explorer Guild is setting him up, swearing on everything that he's innocent. Deep down, he knows this public mess is now too big for the guild to just sweep under the rug. Meanwhile, at the magic tower, the senior mage tells Raven that the branch manager called her in to deal with some lunatic. She looks puzzled, but he explains that a lunatic freed a bunch of prisoners and is now holding the district manager's daughter hostage. Raven figures the guy must be a complete idiot, but decides to head over anyway, as she throws on her Barbie-level outfit because she has her own business there too. Sometime later, Bjorn stares at her in disbelief and asks if they seriously sent her. Raven looks just as stunned and demands to know what the hell he was thinking. She starts berating him like a grandma, as she never expected him to pull something like this. But Bjorn cuts in and tells her to stop wasting time and just use the memory magic already. She tries to argue, but he insists they don't have time to mess around. She agrees, but only if he owes her a favor later, to which Bjorn agrees as long as it's doable. She lights up that he agreed and starts casting the spell, only to immediately pause in surprise. The spell isn't working, even though Bjorn claims that he's not wearing any anti-magic gear. Just then the investigator rushes in and heads straight for the unconscious branch manager as he helps him up and demands to know what happened. He reports that most of the prisoners have been taken care of, but then spots Bjorn. His eyes go wide and he instantly starts yelling that this guy is the mastermind behind the chaos, which the branch manager already knows. The manager asks if Bjorn's claim of being framed is true, then turns to the investigator and gets serious. He wants to know what proof they had that Bjorn was a plunderer. The fat man flinches at the question, but quickly rattles off his reasons that Bjorn brought back way too many crystals, looked suspicious, and had a bag full of equipment that looked stolen. Then they trace the message stone back to someone from the Crystal Union who accused Bjorn of murder and theft. Bjorn snaps back that none of that testimony was verified by magic. The branch manager turns to the investigator and asks why that step was skipped. The guy tries to pivot and goes off about how Bjorn's been lying all along about getting stabbed and entering the rupture. The mention of vampire essence leaves the branch manager confused too, and the investigator takes advantage of that and asks how any of that could possibly make sense. He insists that Bjorn lied because he knew magic wouldn't work, so why should they waste resources proving anything? He sounds way too sure of himself, but then Raven breaks in, casually dropping the bomb that Bjorn did indeed consume a vampire essence inside the rupture. Both men stare at her, stunned and pressed for answers, to which Raven coolly replies that she was there. But unluckily, magic cannot be used on her to prove it. The potato waddles over and starts pressing her, asking why she's backing him up and warning her not to lie just because she knows him. Raven raises a brow and fires back if he really thinks she would lie. He immediately starts to backpedal and starts to beg like a pro. A mage's influence is on the level of a noble, and they know how to protect them. For a basic guild staffer to question a mage's word, he might as well have dug his own grave. The branch manager finally speaks, asking them to stop, since none of this is grounded in solid proof. But Raven isn't letting that slide either, as even though she agrees that vampires have never shown up on the first floor before, but also states that isn't the kind of thing the branch manager should be declaring. He looks thrown, and she continues that even after years of research, plenty of things in the labyrinth remain unsolved. The unexpected can always happen, so no one should be acting like they have all the answers. Bjorn watches her as she just shuts down the branch manager like a true arrogant mage. Then the tension shifts again as someone else steps into the room and starts addressing Bjorn. He blinks in confusion until the girl bursts into tears, calling out for her father. That's when Bjorn finally puts the pieces together that the man introducing himself as Niels Urban is the district manager. The Explorer Guild runs everything tied to explorers. For efficiency, it's split into hundreds of branches under 13 district managers and the guild master at the top. Out of nowhere, a man gets tossed onto the floor who demands to know why he has been dragged here. The district manager just says he heard Bjorn had been looking for this guy. The investigator instantly breaks into a sweat as he recognizes the man, while Bjorn gives him a cold look and identifies him as someone from Crystal Union. His voice sharpens as he accuses the guy of making a fake witness statement about the message stone. The man tries to deny it, but Raven steps up and casually activates her truth magic and reveals that he is capping hard. Bjorn celebrates inwardly that he's got a tower mage backing him, and this guy's definitely finished. The liar nearly collapses as the district manager sighs and asks Bjorn for his name and officially declares him innocent. Bjorn releases the girl and asks what'll happen to the guy now. The district manager says he'll be investigated further, and Bjorn suggests they should check into his clan too. The manager agrees that the Crystal Union has been shady lately, so digging deeper isn't a bad idea. Then he turns to the investigator and coldly announces that he's fired. The fat man panics and claims he followed the rules, but the dentist cuts him off hard. He won't let someone like that tarnish the guild's name anymore. All his previous cases will be reopened, and if anything's off, he'll be punished. The guards drag the investigator away as he sweats buckets. The district manager then addresses Bjorn's compensation and offers to promote him to 7th rank and replace all his gear. Bjorn's eyes narrow and he scoffs that this is basically a scam, as he could reach 7th rank alone thanks to the vampire essence. The manager argues that Bjorn's only been here 2 months, but Bjorn just dares him to summon a 7th rank explorer right now to prove him wrong. Bjorn roars and tells them to bring it on, which causes the district manager to flinch as he tries to calm him down. Raven also joins in that no one's ever returned from the rupture with a 5th rank monster's essence and calls the offered compensation pathetic. Trapped by their own logic, the manager asks what they think is fair, to which Bjorn grins wide and says 5 million stones should do nicely. The branch manager nearly collapses again, but the district manager agrees without blinking. Bjorn's stunned at how fast he gave in, but Raven reminds them that her fee is separate. The manager agrees and tells her to thank the master. Meanwhile, over at the magic tower, Raven takes Bjorn to her private lab. He looks around at the messy lab while Raven starts mixing some weird-looking stuff in the back. She hands him a blue bottle of liquid and tells him to drink it. Bjorn gives it a suspicious look, asking if it's even just water. Raven smirks, saying it is, but then offers basilisk concentrate instead. The link to the next episode should be appearing on your screen. Just click on it and you can watch it.